Hey, what's going down, savages? Welcome to another episode of This Savage Life, episode 44. I'm your host, Stéphane Paulin. How's everybody doing out there? I hope everybody's doing great. I hope everybody's safe. We're going through some crazy time right now, let's face it. Pandemic, racial tension because of the murder of George Floyd. I mean, it's crazy time. A lot of yelling on social media, a lot of yelling from both sides. I mean, it's just crazy. Talking about social media, since last Sunday, I decided to remove all social media from my phone, deleted Facebook, deleted Instagram, got rid of Twitter, all of them. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I finally decided that it was the time right now to just take a break, take a step back, and focus on other things and try not to get distracted. I found that I was getting, like a lot of people, I'm just straight addicted to social media and my phone. And I found I was spending a lot of unnecessary time on my phone, just scrolling through all these fucking timelines and a lot of things that, a lot of projects, personal projects and others things were just, we're not getting done or not getting done as fast as I wanted. And I felt like by removing myself from social media and from just distancing myself from all that, I'd be able to be a lot more productive. So been 4 days right now, so I'm not ready to report on if it actually had a big change or not on it, but I'll keep you informed on how it's going in the next couple of episodes. On today's episode, I'm joined by my great friend Jade Salter. Jade is a sports massage therapist. She's been on this podcast once before. Just able to have a great conversation with Jade. I love her. And we're great friends. And we just have this connection where we're able to flow and have these great conversations. And this time was not any different. So without any further ado, I really hope you enjoy my conversation with Jade Salter.
A hit, because every time you're probably starting to realize that, oh shit, there's still a risk here. Do you know what I mean? So your nervous system is having to sort of have its defenses up, so to speak.
Yeah, I think I don't know. It's just like I went back to work and the first week was fine. I was all excited and stuff. And then you get back in your routine so fast. Like I kind of forgot that I was not working for like 3 months, and and we're busy. So it's like, I get there at 7 in the morning, and I don't stop till 3, maybe for like 20, 30 minutes for lunch. And then once I'm done, like, it's like, oof, like I get home around 3:15 and I'm like, ooh, I'm tired. And last week, like my body was like, that's why I booked a massage, my back. And, it's like, everything's just got used to like, it was taking a long time for my body to be like, okay, you're going to do this every day now, because you've been 3 months without doing anything. All of a sudden you're going to go through this again. And then like at the end of last week, I was fine. And then this week I'm just like, I'm back to normal. I guess it's back to normal.
Yeah. You messaged me and you were like, why do my traps hurt? And I was like, Steph, I really need to have more information.
It was bad. That day I texted you, I was like, my neck, I couldn't move my neck. I couldn't look up. I couldn't look down. Like I had no mobility in my neck, just out of the blue. It lasted like 2 days. And then like
a temporary strain or sprain.
Yeah. Like we did buy a new mattress. So it's like, maybe that's it. But I mean, it's been almost 3 or 4 weeks now. So I'm like, I should sleep well. So
it sounds like you did something. Like it sounds like a sprain.
Yeah. Maybe at work, like there's a lot of bending over and I do carry a lot of the boxes on my shoulders sometimes like this. And I constantly use my head as like, cause I lift instead of just grabbing one box at a time. Sometimes I'll grab more than one box and then I'll just use my head to counterbalance as I'm walking through the aisles. So.
Yeah. I was thinking about you yesterday because I was chatting with my colleague And she was telling me that she used to be a rugby player years ago, and she was telling me that she got a really bad concussion when she was playing one time. And just while she was talking to me, she said, "Yeah, I had my symptoms for 2 years." And I was like, "For 2 years?" She was like, "Yeah, yeah. I mean, if it's like a serious concussion, you're gonna see certain side effects for up to 2 years. Now, it may not be like very serious side effects, but it could be every now and then feeling a bit disoriented, or it could be mood swings, or it could be like feeling of almost like a spacey kind of feeling, that will just come and go."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Shit." I mean, yeah, it's serious, like, so you're still in recovery.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like I sometimes after like I've had symptoms for a few days or even a week now. It's been almost 2 weeks, but like the neck pain that I had last week was probably a symptom of my injury. Like it was just like
Mm,
a lot of the strain. Like I don't have the headaches, but the mood swings is something that's always around sometimes. So it's
mm,
like
mm,
I think it's like I hate to admit it, but I almost joke about it at this point where it's like I joke about how I've been hit in the head so much that there's definitely like CTE and
mm,
the mood swings and all those things and the headaches, the occasional headaches. Uh, I think it's just and now considering that I actually had a severe concussion, it's not just like the symptoms of like years and years of putting my head and my
mm,
body through it. It's even worse. Yeah, I've heard of certain like I've known of certain athletes where they were out for like I know Sidney Crosby, one of his last concussion, he was out almost a year, if not longer. And
mm,
every time he tried coming back, it was just like nope symptoms, like every time.
mhm,
And it felt like this time around, like I would feel better when I would rest and do nothing, but then the minute that I would start getting active again, it was like my body was such in like still like in a shock. Like I
mhm,
feel like my nervous system is affected a lot of the time as well.
mhm.
So like
Yeah,
it's like I
absolutely.
get anxious and then my heart rate spikes and everything is out of whack. My
Yeah.
hormones probably, I feel like shit. Like
I
it's weird.
mean, random aches and pains can also be a symptom, right? So, I
Yeah.
mean, it could be something like that. Like, just for some reason, there's like a lot of built up tension, pressure almost in your traps, in your cervical spine. And then all of a sudden, you start to feel like this dull aching and pressure and compression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it could be also I feel like sometimes my body aches get triggered by stress
Mm-hmm.
because I keep everything in, like I tense up a lot of the times,
Mm-hmm.
like you probably felt when you massaged me last time. Like there's a lot of that stress that I just like I'm always like oh like on edge, right? So I'm always like squeezing something because I'm always
Yeah,
like
your jaw. I remember your jaw. We had to like release your jaw, right?
yeah, that
Yeah, I
was
remember your jaw was like super, super, super fired up.
I just remember how fucking bad it hurt when you dug your fucking finger right under my jaw here. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, and under your pec as well.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's also like I sense like this week when I was looking up, like it shoots in the back of in the bottom of the neck and the traps. But I felt like the front here, like right under my chin and like all the way
Yeah.
down to my pec was super tight as I was looking up, like right here and like all of like right
Mm.
here. So
That
I
sounds
don't.
like a sprain.
Huh?
The fact that it sounds like a sprain. The fact that it just came on really fast like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also symptoms that I had before after I had my concussion. Like that was
Yeah.
because I think of the whiplash I think that I had and all that stuff
Yeah.
that happened.
Absolutely. It's still present. It's not. It wasn't that long ago, love.
No, I know. It
It
seems
was
like
February.
it's it seems long. I mean, it's
Yeah.
January happened, but like with
January.
the
Yeah.
pandemic and everything that's going on, it's like everything is like so far away.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. But
It's
it wasn't that long ago. It
it,
wasn't.
like June
Yeah.
already, but like if you think about it,
Yeah.
a couple months ago and it's nothing.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So you're back full time now, like full?
Well, so usually my life is divided between teaching
Yeah.
and working at my space. So right now the teaching is obviously stopped because it's the summer. So I'm not doing any kind of teaching whatsoever, but I'm in the clinic 3 days a week. So yeah, it's okay. Like it's funny because before all of this COVID stuff, like I was really concerned that I was only going to have one income coming in rather than two, right?
Yeah.
That I wasn't going to be getting any money from teaching. And I was like looking at extra stuff I could do. I even looked up like maybe even becoming a temporary tour guide. Like there was an organization that was looking for people just to give tours. So I was looking into that, and I even had a job interview, and it went really well. But of course, because of all this COVID stuff, that stopped. And now I actually feel fine. Now I'm like, you know what? I'm totally okay with just taking it really, really slow and just relaxing into just 3 days a week,
Yeah.
especially because if I'm interacting with people like that 3 days a week, so usually I'm there Thursday, Friday, Sunday, it gives me at least Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to be able just to like relax and kind of allow my nervous system to settle
Yeah,
after
of
being
course.
around people that I have to like keep my defenses up around. So
It,
yeah,
it's insane how much how much goes behind just trying to stay away from people
yeah,
all day. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like your mind is constantly working at like, oh, watch out. Oh, don't walk too close. Like
yeah,
we're not used to it yet. Like after a while, if you're around a lot of people, I guess you get used to it and it becomes
for
like an
sure.
instinct, right? But when it's not an instinct, man, it's like, oops, I'm too close. Oh, I didn't think about it.
Yeah,
Oh, and then it becomes like, you're right. Like it might not be like a stress, like you're, oh my God, I'm super stressed, but it's still a little stress on your nervous system because
yeah,
you have to be way more aware of
yeah.
certain things.
It's funny because what's been happening is people will enter the office, they'll stand in the door, and I'm like, come on in, come on in. They come on in, and I'm like, sit down. They sit down, and it's a rolling chair. So they sit down, and then they immediately start to roll away from me.
Ah,
And they're like, oh, 2 meters. And I'm like, I'm literally going to have my hands all over your body for an hour.
yeah, that
So,
doesn't really count over here.
no, so long as you have your mask on, doesn't matter. So, yeah, it's really funny watching people. And even after the massage, like, I'll come back in to give them their consultation to talk to them about what we worked on. And you can see they're all weird again and they don't want to hug me or shake my hand. Yeah,
Man,
it's weird. It's funny.
it's hard.
Yeah,
When you're just surrounded by your little bubble and your little circle of friends and people you
yeah,
interact with, like we are right now, especially now that we can't see each other face to face for the most part because we're all now it's a little less, but for a while we all we did was just Zoom meeting or on your phone. You couldn't even
yeah,
go out and see people. Yeah, it's like this tension in between, like, oh, okay, a lot of people are like, I don't want to offend someone. So like for me, for example, like it doesn't bug me if someone were to come close to me, but I'll keep my distance because I just don't want to offend someone, or I don't want
yeah,
someone to be like, because some people are more worried, some people are more at risk. So I just don't want to have that awkward moment where I'm like, oh fuck, I'm sorry. So
yeah,
I'm aware of it, right? And then so I think certain people, they can't read the room and they just go like, well, I don't know this person, I don't know how she is in relations to this COVID
yeah,
pandemic, so I'm just gonna stay away. Just gonna stay away and keep my distance all the time.
yeah,
It's a bit, man, it makes the interaction between people so like suspect. I find like it's completely
yeah,
changing how people interact because everybody's not thinking about the interaction. They're just thinking about, am I too close? Does this
yeah.
did she
For
just spit
sure.
on me? Was that a bubble of spit I felt on my
Was
fucking
it
lip?
AC? Yeah, it's so true. It's
Right?
so
But
true.
it is like, oh man, like sometimes like I'm out, even like yesterday, I'm not afraid to say it, I don't give a shit, but like yesterday, my wife bought couches
Okay.
on Saturday. She follows this woman. She's like one of her like, she's, my she follows this event planner on Instagram, and she's like this big kind of like somewhat celebrity in the business of event planning in
Okay.
Montreal. Like she's this big event planner, and my wife follows her. You know, she has a bunch of following, but she follows her because she inspires my wife, and you know, she motivates my wife, and my wife looks up to this woman. So this woman was renovating her basement and selling these couches, and she
Okay.
had them on like her Instagram story, and my wife just messaged her, and then within a few hours we had two new couches because she was selling two couches. So I had to figure out how am I going to go get these couches. So I rented a U-Haul, and I asked Mike Marston
Yeah, yeah.
to come help me because I know we've been talking about like we need to see each other. Like me and Marston, like we're like brothers. We love each other and
Yeah,
stuff. So
yeah.
we're like, he's like, I said, dude, do you doing anything Sunday? He's like, nope, I'm free. So he came down yesterday morning around
Cool.
10, and I gave him a hug. He's the first person I've hugged outside of my
Yeah.
wife and my kids and since January. And
Yeah.
it felt, number one, it felt so great. I was like, oh my God, like I could stay here forever. I miss this so much. But
Yeah.
it was weird because for an instant there, I'm like, wait a minute, like it's like I'm not used to this anymore. You know, like
Mm.
because as much as I hug and interact with my kids, like even my wife, like I don't hug my wife. It's not like, hey baby, like
No, 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 no.
we've been living together for 14 years,
Yeah, yeah,
13
yeah, yeah, yeah.
years. Like it's
Yeah.
like,
It's a different kind of interaction. It's a different kind of
yeah.
intimacy, you know? Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I found it was like, oh, it was so refreshing. And then we got in the truck and we were just talking face to face, and I was like, this is how people are supposed to have conversations. And it's so much like, because you get like we're talking right now, I see your face, I can read off your reaction, we can talk and
Yeah.
stuff. But when if you were sitting across me in my office right now, it would
Yeah.
feel completely different. There's
Oh
like
my
this
God.
filter right now that
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
I'm used to it now because I've done maybe about 20 of these now
Yeah.
with the Zoom. But man, it's just like, I don't know.
No, it's
I
not the
miss the
same.
energy. I miss the energy. I can only
Yeah.
feed off your reaction. I can't feed off your energy.
Yeah.
That's what I miss, I guess.
When you realize that, though, it's actually kind of really beautiful to realize that, there's only so much that technology can replace, and I remember
Oh
like
yeah.
right at the beginning of when all this happened, I had like a little bit of a meltdown that Mark had to kind of like talk me down from, because I was like, so am I just in like the worst career possible then? Because my career is based upon physical human interaction, not only just sitting and talking with you, but also literally touching you, like putting my hands on someone's body, feeling their skin, feeling their muscle, feeling their tissue. Am I just in the wrong career if this is our future? And he had to talk me down, because he was like, there is absolutely no way that your hands can ever be replicated. No one's ever going to be able to replicate not just a massage therapist, but also someone that is going to listen and feel through that tissue and understand it on not just a mechanical level, but also on like a human.
There needs to
uh,
be emotion attached to what you're doing.
yeah, exactly. And so I was like, yeah, you're right, and I've found my clients that I've seen this week, I've found I've had the most, not me personally, but they have had the most emotional responses to what I usually have with people. Like I've had people tearing up, and it's not because like they're having like some huge life-changing moment on the table. It's just more that I guess people they just really need that interaction.
Oh
They
my
really,
God.
really, really need it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It, it must be weird though. Would you say that just the fact that it's been a long time and you're just getting back to it, that it's kind of like these I guess these restriction or just these thoughts of like I'm actually touching someone now, does it get in the way of doing your job properly, you find?
It did at first, the first couple, especially when so we only just got the go ahead to start massaging in Quebec in private offices as of June 1st. So before then, we were allowed to operate, but only on an emergency basis. So I
Okay.
could see maybe a person a week. So I didn't massage anyone for a really long time. And then 2 weeks ago, I saw 3 clients, one a day for 3 days. And yeah, the first client, I remember I was really, it took a lot of effort to not be weirded out by for me to be weirded out by the interaction, and to not be like panic stricken while I was massaging this person. And I was wearing the visor, and I was wearing a hair covering, and I was wearing my mask and my glasses, and I was realizing, okay, I'm starting to have a little bit of a panic attack while I was massaging this person because I felt like I couldn't breathe. Obviously, I could breathe, but it was just that it was like a mind over matter kind of
Yeah.
situation. So I just took the visor off. I took it off and I was like, you know what? I'm wearing glasses, so my eyes are protected. My mask is covering everything else. It's literally just my forehead that is
Yeah.
exposed. My hair is covered. So I was like, fuck it. I'm not going to wear the fucking visor. I'm not going to wear it. And then I just felt a lot more better, a lot better. So now I'm not wearing a visor. It's just, I'm not going to wear it. I'm not advised to by my order. They just say that if you want to, for extra protection, you can wear it. But it's not for me. Like, I need to, I felt like it was just like this huge barrier between me and that person. The mask is fine, but like wearing a visor and glasses, it was just too much.
Oh, I can imagine. I
Yeah.
I have worn zero masks and zero visors throughout all this thing, and it's not out of like the rebellion or just saying like
Mhm.
fuck this, like because like for like most people, like I was worried about this at
Yeah.
first, I'm a lot less worried now. I won't lie. Like I see the numbers. I don't pay attention to the news that much about it because I just don't want my anxiety to go. Because when I would let myself like follow the news about it, when it was like, a month in or a month and a half in, when it was really bad,
Yeah.
I couldn't. I was like every day I wake up, I thought I had it for a while. It was like, oh my god, like it and I just stopped and now it's like I've seen the numbers apparently like they're going down now, like the death numbers and
Significantly.
the numbers in the ICU are below 100 if I'm not mistaken
Yeah.
here in
Yeah.
Montreal or in Quebec. So look, I mean, life seems to be going back to normal, and I think that if we're not seeing a spike in cases anytime soon, it's like people are slowly gonna be like removing those restrictions on their own and not waiting for the government to say, hey, it's good, you could do this, good, you could do that. Oh, that's good because I've been doing it for a month, or good, I've been
Yeah.
doing it for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Like we go to my in-laws, we went to my in-laws, it was my father-in-law's birthday on June 1st. So yesterday we went to their place, and in the backyard, we sit my fan, like me, my Christine and the kids, we sit at our own table, and and we make sure to stay away because my father-in-law had a
Yeah.
quadruple bypass surgery. He's
Right.
had a heart
Right.
surgery, so he's at risk. There,
Yeah.
him and his wife are in their 60s, or so it's like
Hmm.
they're at risk, and it's just you got to be careful. And their daughter temporarily lives with them now, so she can be there and be more aware and take if they need anything. But at the end of the
Hmm.
day, they still work. They've worked throughout this whole time. They work like a night job, like it's only a few hours a day, but and they're not surrounded by many people because they go into an office building and just when there's nobody around. But
Hmm.
it's like it's been feeling good. And at first I found it weird. Like I was just like, because you have kids, like I constantly was finding myself yelling at my kids to not get close to people. And it would frustrate me. Like I would yell, not because I was upset at them, but I would yell because I was frustrated that I actually had to
Yeah.
tell my
Stress.
kids to
Yeah.
stay away from people and not go here and not go there. And I'm like, man, like this is not
Hmm.
right. And I understand why. I don't want to sound like the guy that's insensitive to the whole thing, but I
No,
do
no.
understand why. But at this point, it's like, there's a lot more people, a lot less nervous about this. So I think
Yeah.
we're getting back to normal. But
Hmm.
I still see and hear people that are still at 100 about this. They're still like, nope, don't touch me. I ain't going out. No, no, no. And
Hmm.
it's like, man, like really? Like it's been
Hmm.
3 months there. You've been at home, you haven't gone up. Nope, nope, nope. I ain't going out. I don't want to go out. I go out strictly for
Yeah.
the minute. I'm like, whew, that can't be good for
Mm.
someone's mental health. You know what I mean? That's all I'm getting at.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it could be that they are genuinely very, very worried and scared of catching it. It
Mm-hmm.
could also be just that maybe they've gotten so comfortable in that routine now, of like stay away, I'm by myself, I'm okay, I can deal with this. Do you know what I mean? Like for myself, like I'm very much like an introvert, okay?
Yeah.
I very much like if you just left me to my own devices, like I could probably just stay at home all the time by myself, just reading books and watching TV that I like. And yeah, I go out every now and then maybe and see someone, but honestly speaking, I think I'd be happy just to be by myself. I'm an only child, so I think it comes with that kind of territory.
Well, I,
But
I'm like you.
yeah,
I completely
yeah,
understand. Uh,
yeah. And so I
we're
like
able
when
to adapt by ourselves, like we're able to be
yeah.
by our own.
Yeah, so when all this happened, I realized I was like, well, shit, this is like a dream. That like
Yeah.
I don't have to feel the pressure of like, well, I better do something social because that's what people do. So it could be that yeah, maybe they are really scared, but it could also be maybe they're kind of comfortable now in that feeling of I'm by myself, I'm in my own house, like this is my little bubble that I can protect and defend, and I know how it works now. And yeah, it's interesting to see like just by chatting with my clients, every client that came in my door Thursday, Friday, Sunday, nearly all of them had different opinions of the virus. Each of them had been like dealing with it differently. I had some clients that were like, I could tell they were very, very anxious about being there, but they needed the treatment.
Yeah.
Some, like, they were so relaxed. I even had someone fucking try and tell me that the virus isn't real and the numbers are just people dying of heart attacks and cancer. And I was like, rolling my eyes the whole way through the
Yeah,
treatment.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. No,
it's
I know. I get
hard
it.
to, yeah, yeah. That's a difficult one because, but like you say, like it's going to be interesting now that we're all kind of like coming out and chatting with each other. The way how we're all dealing with it is so different.
Yes, man, we were already having issues dealing with each other, I think, as a society before this happened, and this just amplifies a lot of the issues and
Yeah,
just makes you not. Everybody's been locked up in their house for 3 months, and then they have to kind of peek outside and go like, wait a minute, the world still exists. Like, like what happened to the millions of deaths we were supposed to get? Yeah, it didn't happen.
yeah,
Didn't happen. We did a good job being proactive. Guess what? But like, look, I don't want to be one of those guys, but like, even in the States, like they weren't proactive like us, and their numbers aren't as high as they expected either. It's like,
I was chatting with my mum about that because right now in the UK it's a little over 40,000 deaths. But,
wow.
but today there were some government officials that came forward and said that the numbers may well be closer to 90,000. But there was at the beginning there was just no way of really collecting that data.
Yes. Yeah.
Mom was saying that she really believes that that number is way lower than it actually is, because they can't release the real numbers because then we're never going to leave the fucking house.
Yeah. I
You know?
think I think you might have a point. I think I can't really trust what the states tell us anyway. They kind of live in their own little fucking bubble right now, and it's like
Yeah.
they have other issues right now.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I didn't want to discredit a bunch of people, but I know that I've seen a few people just think that it's completely false and that it's made up, and that the media, those people,
Yeah. Yeah.
the conspiracy
The
theorists and all
pandemic
that.
people. Yeah.
Look, I normally roll my eyes at these people, but it's not like I was telling I don't forget who I was telling this to, but it's like I I do listen to some of their point of views, to because some of them
Yeah,
are
it's
good
important.
at expressing their point of views, even though
Yeah.
it might be a whack theory and out of there. But
Mm,
some people are actually like willing to sit down and not yell at you and not treat you and belittle you and actually say,
yeah.
listen, here's what I think. And some people are like, well, you make a good point. Like, I can't. I'll dismiss every single point made if of stuff that I don't agree with, right?
Yeah.
So I'd listen. The problem is that most of these people that believe these crazy conspiracy theories or whatever about the virus or about anything else, they just, like I've said it before, I'll say it again, like they go through like moronic ways to try to put their point across. And at a certain point is like, I would have listened to you, but man, like I can't listen to you anymore because of what
No.
you just said. And it's not really what you said, it's the way you chose to express yourself.
Yeah.
Like you're like, I can't. And then once I made that distinction about someone, anything else that comes out of that person's mouth,
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll my eyes, because I'm like, dude, you said this one stupid thing and
Yeah.
made this stupid comparison, and which didn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, and a lot of the time, those people they're using their intuition, their gut, which actually is very valid. Is a very valid opinion. Is when you're really listening to yourself. What is your gut telling you about this situation? But the problem is a lot of those people then don't follow through and try and find the research that has been comprised or put together, the data that's out there, the statistics to back up their opinion. So it's hard to like listen to that, understand it, but then actually take it on if it's just an opinion. Everyone has an opinion about everything. So it's hard.
it,
It Yeah, go
no,
on.
go.
I
Sorry.
was just gonna say, no, it's right. I Did you see I posted something on Facebook the other day, which was like it was a link. You can click on this link and you can see everyone that's on your friends list that is a Trump supporter.
Yeah. You didn't see I shared it?
You did?
I shared it, and
Oh shit.
you know what I wrote?
What?
I said, apparently this link tells me who is a fan of Donald Trump or who is a supporter of Donald Trump,
Yeah.
right? I said, I didn't click on the link, but I'm going to let you guys
Oh,
write in the comment if you have the guts to really come out as a Trump thing. Guess how many people commented?
go on.
0. But a lot of people came at me after, and in like, yeah, like not like directly but indirectly a little bit, I think. And I don't know if you know, I haven't told anybody. I told Mike yesterday, but and my wife knows, but I deleted all social media.
Oh, really, love?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't delete my accounts, I just deleted it. I deleted them off my phone. I deleted Instagram and Facebook,
Okay.
and
You're active.
I kind of put Twitter in the back of my phone where I can't easily reach it. Like I put it into a subcategory of a subcategory, so I don't see the icon.
Yeah.
But I've been meaning to do it for a while, and it's something that I wanted to do, not because I can't deal with what people say or do. Like, did you see the video I posted? You saw the video I posted a couple of days ago?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So
On your
the
Instagram.
whole thing, what brought this on, and I made my
Yeah.
decision a bit easier, is that ever since what's going on in the States now with the Black Lives Matter movement and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff, since George Floyd got murdered,
Mm-hmm.
dude, my timeline is filled with people on the left yelling at people on the right,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like no one is trying to have a conversation. So my
Mm-hmm.
timeline was flooded with just garbage upon
Yeah.
garbage, and I'm not pinpointing one side. I'm
Yeah.
including both sides. Like it's like
Yeah.
the spectrum with the fucking far end of one spectrum versus the far end of the other spectrum, and they're just yelling at each other. And one side wants to cancel everybody else on the other
Yeah.
side, and then the other side is just mocking and picking at everybody else just to get them riled up, so they get
Mm-hmm.
even more angry. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I can't. I want to love you all, and I want to respect your point of view. And like I said in my video, I said I deleted none of my friends or none of my Facebook friends, like
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
say Facebook
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is mostly Facebook. Like Instagram, I don't see much of that negativity. A little, but a lot less. Like Facebook is just a fucking
I know.
huge pile of just,
Yeah.
and it's like, I said, look, I didn't delete anybody because at the end of the day, I truly believe that everybody has the right to their own opinion. Everybody has their own voice, and everybody is free to use their own voice like they
Mhm.
choose to.
Mhm.
But I said, some people need to educate themselves. Like, you need to be educated. You can't just share something in your thoughts and it's all
Yeah.
based out of ignorance.
Yeah.
Like, just because you're ignorant to something and you truly don't know of something to be true or false doesn't mean you're right, just simply because it's your belief. Like, there's certain
Yeah.
things that it's fact down the line, and whatever you choose to believe it or not, it's not some things are just not debatable.
Mhm.
I find that people hide behind that freedom of speech, like,
Mm.
oh, I can say whatever I want. Yeah, you could say whatever I want, but I can also make an opinion and a judgment on your character based on what comes out of your mouth,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you can't say anything about that. And
Yeah.
I Saturday night, I shared this video on Saturday morning simply because I was just I felt like I didn't feel like I wanted or needed to be a peacemaker, but I needed to get it off my chest, make my peace, and
Mhm.
I wrote it down at first, and I'm like,
Yeah.
if I post it as something written down, it's not gonna come off across. Fuck it, I'll just do a video.
No.
So I did a
No.
video.
No, and you're so good at talking, like it's a great medium for you.
So and then like I said, I've been thinking about like taking a break off social media because I really think that at the end of the day, it's just I'm completely addicted to it. And as much as I want to try to convince myself that I use it as a tool to build my brand or whatever the fucking bullshit I tell myself, at the end of the day, it's more of a distraction, especially in the right now with everything going on.
Yeah.
It's a distraction. Anything that I post productive or positive on Facebook gets buried by all
Mm.
the bullshit. So I'm like,
Mm.
I don't need that additional anxiety and stress just
Yeah.
because honestly, like to sometimes like there's people that I've not necessarily been to school with, but people that I know that I've known for years, and then I
Yeah.
see them share something, and I'm like, wow, like what, like
Sure.
really.
And you guys, like with all of the like wrestling fans that you probably have and stuff, like a lot of those people are probably sharing such bullshit. I'm
it,
sure.
it was just like I woke up Saturday morning. I went to bed Saturday night knowing that Sunday morning was probably going to delete my social media, and I
Yeah.
was going to delete just Facebook at first, but then I was like, you know what? I really think that if I take a break from all social media for a minimum of 30 days,
Yeah.
I could be so much more productive. And I just want to see how it affects my mindset of
Mm-hmm.
not continuously having the need to not feeling the need to put out content just so that people can, hey, don't forget about me, because at the end of the day, that's
Yeah.
what you're trying to do, right? Like, I'm trying to build a business, I'm trying to build a brand, I'm trying to build all of this. But I think right now is honestly the perfect time because no one is paying attention to anything else but then what everybody is yelling about on
Yeah.
online. So I'm like, I'm just gonna step away, and I deleted them off my phone. I didn't put a deadline. Just
Yeah.
like when I stopped drinking, it's like I'm taking it one day at a time. It's hard. I won't
Mm-hmm.
lie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh my god, it's hard. I want to go and I want to download the apps again.
Yeah.
It's deprogramming yourself from constantly thinking and living around social media.
Yeah.
It,
It's a shift, I'm sure.
it's
Yeah.
2 days now, and it's like, sorry, I'm sweating. It's hot in my office.
Okay.
Um, so I kind of like detach myself from it, and also like I think it gives me an opportunity to just like center myself. I know it sounds woo woo bullshit, but like to center myself and like, like what we've been talking on the side there with my project and my business
Mm-hmm.
plan and all that, like
Mm-hmm.
the next 6 to 8 months for me need to be uh, as productive as possible, and like I'll take any little thing that can help me be even
Mm.
more productive. And I
I've
think,
concentrated.
like at the end of the day, like I have certain things that I've been putting on the back burner, and
Mm.
not that it's because of social media, but if I really think about it, there's a lot of times where I was scrolling through my timeline for an hour, and I've been like, I could have been doing something way more
Oh,
productive,
yeah, absolutely.
right?
Jesus Christ. Seriously, yeah. It's so easy as well. Like, I'm sure you've done that multiple times, because I do all the time. Like, I'll pick up my phone. I'm like, oh, yeah, I need to do this thing. I pick up my phone. 20 minutes later, I'm like, fuck, I didn't even do the thing. I'm just like stuck in Instagram or Facebook or something, like, Jesus Christ.
And you completely forgot why you picked up your phone. And me, sometimes I'll pick up my phone like, oh yeah, I need to check this. I need to check like something, or like, I don't know. Oh yeah, this product I've been meaning to buy. I want to see how much it is. Then I pick up my phone.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, let me check Instagram fast. Then 30 minutes later, I'm like, I put my phone down, and I'm like, the next day I'd be like, didn't I want to check something? Yes. Oh fuck yeah, I didn't even check it.
yeah,
What the fuck happened?
absolutely.
And
Yeah,
it's weird because here's something that I was starting to notice, like that 30 minutes you spend on your timeline,
yeah,
the next day, that 30 minutes you spend more than me personally, I spend chunks of 30 minutes a lot
yeah,
of
yeah,
the time.
yeah, yeah.
Less now because I'm back at work, right? So for like almost 8 hours, except for
But
a
no,
little bit here and there, I'm like off of
yeah,
it, right? But try that 30 minutes that you spend scrolling on your timeline, the next day, that 30 minutes, you won't remember it.
no, of
So
course not.
you're never gonna get that 30 minutes back. You didn't do
Yeah,
anything productive unless that you saw one post, one meme that you'll remember. But there's a lot of times, like example, and you're like, oh yeah, I wanted to check that. And I
yeah,
remember thinking about it, but what happened for the next 30 minutes after that? And I'm
yeah,
like, I don't
yeah,
know why I must have got distracted.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
I spent this 30, 40, 60 minutes just going through social media, and then going like the next day going like, what did I do between 8 and 10?
Yeah,
Fuck, I could have been sitting in front of my computer while my wife was watching her Netflix show, and
yeah,
I could have been fucking working on my business plan. I could have worked
exactly.
on podcasting, work on reaching out to guests, work
Yeah,
on all that. But no, instead I did this. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, again, because done right, I think it could be a tool, but I'm
mm-hmm,
just at a point in my life where it's like I need to maximize my productivity.
mm-hmm,
I need to find every little single thing to help me maximize that productivity. And
mm-hmm.
that's why I decided to just pull the band-aid and just like, fuck it, I'm out. I posted a picture. I
Yeah,
said, I'm out. And that was it. I'm done. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't want to be
I've
on it. I don't want to.
definitely, I've definitely tried to like be a little more focused, at least when I'm using it. Like I'm trying to not just sit on my phone and go through the timeline. I'm trying not to do that these days. I'm really, really trying, but yeah, it's not easy. It's really not easy. Yeah. And when you think like we're from a generation of where we almost know how to filter that to some extent. We know to be like, oh, for fuck's sake, and put the phone down.
Yeah.
I feel like in the generations to come, that's not necessarily going to be like that. They're not going to necessarily have that filter to realize, shit, I've just lost an hour. And
Yeah.
they're going to see it as that was time that I spent going through the internet. Whereas us, we're like, fuck, I just lost an hour.
It has
So
to do a lot with the fact that our generation didn't grow up with that
yeah,
technology, right? We know
yeah,
what it's like to not have that thing at the in our hand to burn that 30 minutes.
yeah, yeah.
I've been reading a lot today. I read a few articles, just like, Google like quitting social media, and a lot of the articles and a lot of the first points they make is that they be people that have taken like 6 months or a year off or 30 days. They say the whole time they become way more productive,
I'm sure.
right?
Oh my God, I'm sure.
So
Yeah. When you think of the time that you would get.
it
Yeah.
it was becoming hard with all this Black Lives Matter, because my timeline was so bombarded that I was becoming, it was like in a short, and this is like what, a week, right? That this whole
Yeah.
thing blew up. Like
Yeah.
within a week, I went from like paying way too much attention to what other people might think of my point of view. And it was like, I can't constantly be worried about a few people that I had
Mm.
respect for and then I kind of lost respect simply because they posted something that I might have found insensitive to the. And it's like I try to tell myself like they used to post shit like this all the time. Like I didn't used to get offended. All of a sudden I'm getting offended. Like what the fuck's wrong with me? I'm such a pussy. And then I try to convince myself that way. But then at the end of the day, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm growing in some weird
Yeah, that's not a
way.
bad thing because that means that like there's a magnifying glass now that's being held against those people's values and morals.
Yeah,
You're realizing that like before you were tolerant of, and now you're like, no, you know what? I don't have to be fucking tolerant of that.
yeah.
It's my right to like pick them up and be like, hey, that's not right. That's not good. Yeah, yeah.
It's I don't know. It was like I said in my video, it's like, and this applies more to the people on the left that are like, because like I said, I strongly stand behind the movement of Black Lives Matter. I
Mm,
strongly stand by it because number one, I feel like instinctively it's the right thing to do. Like
of course.
I like,
Yeah.
and number two, we have family that are Black,
Hmm.
and I have friends that I consider brothers that are
Yeah.
Black.
Yeah.
And it like I want them to feel like I feel. Like I
Yeah.
never want them to fear doing something that I take for granted.
Yep.
And it's like it puts everything out in the open now, and it's like, yeah, you gotta have to be a little bit more aware. And I find like the people that stick to their boundaries, that stick to their guns, and go, nope, I ain't changing anything about myself. This is how I've always felt, and then I don't need. Yeah, a lot of them, it's out of sheer ignorance. They're just not educated on the matter. Maybe it has to do with how they grew up. And you have
Mm,
to think, especially here in Canada, there's a big portion of the population that grows up in this bubble of only being surrounded by white people.
mm,
Like I
mm.
grew up in a town of 5,000 people, give or take, which the majority of the people were white. Like,
Yeah. But
uh,
what's weird with that is that like, for example, like I don't think I've ever seen, let's say, an elephant. I've never seen an elephant, like a live elephant. And it's not that like I have prejudice against elephants because I've never seen one before.
that's a good
You know
point.
what I mean? Like, yeah, okay, I totally, don't get me wrong, I totally get that. Where like people, they've never been exposed per se to like a certain religious group or cultural or ethnic group. I totally get that, like that not understanding, but there's no reason as to why that should then be translated into prejudice.
Yes, that I 100% agree. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of the people, they're not technically prejudiced. They just don't want to make the effort. Like that whole bubble scenario where you are like for example me, like I could have easily just stayed at my town. Like I could still be living there like a lot of people do. There's nothing wrong with that, but because
Yeah.
I don't expose myself through from the day I left when I was 17, I came to Montreal. Right away at 17, I was surrounded. All of a sudden, I was exposed to multiple cultures that I had never been exposed to before,
Hmm.
and I was curious, and I was excited instantly to learn about these cultures and to see
Yeah.
how it's like a melting pot of all these different cultures all living together in one city.
Yeah.
Obviously the city
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
bigger than where I'm from, but they can still function
Yeah.
somewhat, right? But it's like even me as a person that grew up in a majority, like with the majority of people around me
Yeah. Yeah.
white, like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I still at a very young age had an affinity for rap music and black culture. Like it was just something that was extremely interesting to me. I for some way gravitated towards that culture,
Hmm.
mostly because I was introduced to it through music and I fell in love. And since the age of 12, basically only been listening to rap and hip hop music,
Hmm.
occasionally other things. But through that culture of music, I was and paying attention, and Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, some of my favorite athletes, all black, Michael Jordan, Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, all these guys. Like I look up to these guys, and throughout the years of paying attention to them and reading about them and watching documentaries and TVs and shows about them, I'm able to see and learn about their struggle as a black person. So to
Yeah.
me, it's not a shock, but to some people that have never been exposed to any other culture than their culture, they kind of go like, well, they don't know how to react around said culture. And so they just kind of close themselves up, and then
Hmm.
they seem like their ignorance comes out even more because you
Yeah.
can tell they're uncomfortable
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
bringing it up, right?
Well, it's kind of like, stereotypes, for example, like stereotypes uh, based around, like, I'm going to use the elephant analogy again. Like, like maybe there's a stereotype of an elephant that they're so big and heavy that they cause destruction. Okay, because they're so big, they're
Mhm.
clumsy, and they cause destruction. So then when you eventually see an elephant for the first time and you start to interact with that elephant, you're gonna you're gonna have at the back of your mind, oh, but I've always been told they cause destruction and they're big and they're clumsy, So even if you're walking up to the elephant without prejudice, you're still gonna be holding that stereotype, that archetype at the back of your mind, right? And I think that's where these people are coming from. I think it's like, why these people that have never been exposed to ethnic groups, um, I mean, that's what I think. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know. I've never lived that, so I don't know. But yeah, the main thing that is, like I remember back in like 2000 and I want to say like 2012, maybe 11. There was a Black Lives Matter like huge protest, huge demonstration here because I remember I was up on Saint Laurent and it passed me, and it's just crazy that like I just really, 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 really hope that this movement is going to really cause movement. It's really going to cause a shift because I feel like, it's almost like history has just been repeated over and over and over and over again with white people and all kinds of people waking up, realizing, fuck, yeah, what the fuck? And then we just still go back into these same patterns. I mean, it's the same thing that we said um, the last podcast about the patriarchy when I was saying to you, like, it doesn't, like, the Me Too movement is not going to change by us just calling out perverts,
yeah,
right? It needs to change through everyone from the moment that you are born and you understand what it is to interact with another human. That's when that starts. Like, it has to start from scratch.
yeah.
And that's going to take generations and generations and generations for that movement and that change to actually start to be realized. So yeah, it's just the beginning. It's sad to say, but it really is just the beginning.
In my opinion, this feels different than any other time before, any other
Thank
Black
you.
Lives Matter.
Yeah.
I think that I see a lot more people, black people, they're not afraid to voice their opinion anymore in
Yeah,
fear
that's so
of
true.
being fired or in fear of being muted or in fear of being, canceled. Like they're out there, they're speaking, and no one's gonna shut them up, and no one's gonna even dare to say anything, right? Because they're like, yeah, man, like give, it's your time. Like my way right now of dealing with this, like I've made my peace. I stand behind the movement. Like I said,
Hmm.
family, friends, family. I mean, come on, it's just, and I, it's like, it's your time. I'm gonna give, like, you guys deserve everything, and hopefully, and like I said, it feels different. Hopefully, this won't die down in 2 weeks, and then everything's gonna go back to normal, and then in 2 or 3 years, we're gonna see someone else get murdered
Yeah,
by cops, and then we'll be like, "Fuck, what now?" Right?
it's so
I
true.
I think the big difference here, I think the big difference is that when people don't realize, like George Floyd narrated his own death in front of everybody.
Mm, mm,
The camera captured every single minute, and he narrated his own death from the beginning to the end. Like when there was like the last few words he said, he knew he was getting killed. He knew he was dying just by what he was saying. Like he in his head, like, can you imagine you're there and you're like, that's it. I'm dead. That's it. He's not going to get off my neck, this guy, and he's going to kill me. And he did. He killed him. And nowadays with social media and everybody having a camera in their pockets, we're just going to see more and more of these if this doesn't get corrected, like not immediately, but like real soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and then there's a whole other discussion around like police brutality and the place now of police in society.
Yeah.
Like that's a whole other discussion that is parallel to Black Lives Matter, but it's a whole other issue that also needs to be dealt with,
They need to elevate the standards of being a cop. It's too easy to be a cop.
Yeah,
Too easy.
It's ridiculous.
I don't care if you're a cop right now and you're listening to this and you say it's not that easy. It's not easy, but it's still too easy.
Yeah.
And it's not I'm not talking about the physical stuff. I'm talking about like there should be screening upon screening upon screening upon screening upon screening to make sure, number one, that you're able to deal with the stress of being a police officer, number one. And number two, to make sure that you're not a racist.
Yeah.
Because it might not be as prevalent. Sorry.
Yeah.
Prevalent.
Yeah.
Here in Canada, because our police force with the RCMP, and it's a bit different. If you go into inner cities and stuff like that, it's different. But in the States, like
we made top 2% though.
You
see, like we made second worst in the world
for policing,
police brutality.
Yeah,
there's been the second most amount of cases in the world.
See, I didn't know that. So there you go. But at the end of the day, like for people to deny that that racism still exists, it's hard for me to believe it because I'm not racist and I don't have that way of thinking. But there's people that are legitimate. Like I've met legit racists before. Legit. Like I've met them. I've spoken to them. I've worked with them. And it's like, you can deny and tell me 5 times a day that you're not racist. You are. You might not even know you are, but you are. And it's like, it's sad. It's sad because it's brought down through generations of treating a certain ethnicity, a certain type of people, a certain way for so many years, and oppressing them and shoving them into a corner and make them feel like they didn't matter as much as other people.
It's generations and generations. And so of course there's going to be a huge percentage of law enforcers that are going to be carrying those values. Of course, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Like it's shocking to me that like it takes less time to become a police officer in Canada. Let's talk about Canada rather than the States. We're in. It takes less time to be a police officer in Canada than it does to become a massage therapist, and that to me is just mind blowing. That's crazy. Like, insane. Like I watched a video last night that Mark was showing me, and okay, it was in the States, I think, but there was this nurse working in the hospital. Did you see it or have heard of it? There was a nurse working in a hospital, and there's a guy that's unconscious, and the police come to take his blood. They need a sample of this guy's blood, essentially, but he's unconscious. So the nurse is saying to the police officer, like, we need his consent. You can't just take his blood without him not knowing.
Yeah.
And the police are adamant they're going to take the blood sample that they have. She gets her boss on the phone. The boss is saying to the police officer, like, you have no warrant. You can't even be present in my ward right now. Get out. The police literally just grab the nurse and they arrest her right on the spot. She's screaming. She's saying this is a violation of my rights.
Wow.
Like, escalation. Now, that police officer, he did lose his job. But it's like there should have been so many steps before he arrested that woman. Like
I,
he has no right to be able to like just decide that he knows the law at that point. It's insane.
I, I don't know the answer to this because I've never put on the uniform. I have a friend, I have a really good friend that's an RCMP, and he's the same guy. He's been almost 20 years now. You know, he's been in the force since he was like 22, I think, 21, 22. So he's a few years short of being in the force since 20 for 20 years. And he's still the same guy. He's still extremely compassionate. Like he was, you know, look, I hate to say it, he was brought up right. Like he, you know, his father was a lawyer, and it's like I believe his grandfather was a judge. Like it's like, you know, like
Wow.
brought
Yeah.
down, and now he's an RCMP, and I believe he works for the drug enforcement now. I believe that's
Okay.
what is. But he's the same guy. Nothing changed. I never seen any type of power hungry guy that became that guy. But I can only imagine, because I know my temperament. I know what kind of person I am. And I can only imagine that if you gave me a uniform and
Mm,
then you gave me a bunch of power that comes
mm,
along with that uniform, that I'm able to wield that power,
yeah.
I would I would be able to, at the end of the day, make the right decision and be the hopefully a good cop.
Yeah.
But I know that there's people, the moment they put that fucking uniform and they have that gun on their hip and they know they have a right to use that gun if provoked, quote unquote,
Yeah.
they change. So when
Yeah.
they see somebody like that nurse that doesn't want to cooperate, and they know the laws, but all of a sudden they're made up to look like fools, and their
Mm,
ego won't allow them to
mm,
look like a fool in front of anybody, and they're like, well, I can just arrest her, I'm a police officer.
yeah.
They don't go and going like, well, I can't really, there's a bunch of, but it they make that leap from just trying to be cordial and respectful to being an asshole and putting somebody in
Yeah.
handcuffs. There's no
Yeah.
between. They go from
No.
being, look, I'm just, like I see it so many times in videos when they're arresting black guys, or black people I should say, because it's not just men,
Mm,
mostly men, but at the end of the day,
mm,
like they'll go from like, look, we just want to question you, to the guy going like, but you have no right. Like I did nothing wrong. You just
yeah.
saw me. You assumed that I'm someone else. And then the minute the person doesn't want to cooperate with the cop, they go from six
Escalate.
to 10. And it's
Yeah.
like, what,
Yeah. There's
what,
nothing in between.
where's the other steps that you're supposed
Yeah.
to follow? Like you skipped all those steps because your ego didn't allow it. Like,
That's it.
come on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's ridiculous. It really is. And I mean, I think, like I know it's like an old discussion, but the statistics speak for themselves. Like in the UK, police officers do not have guns. They have like a fucking truncheon. It's a stick that they have
Hmm.
that they can beat you with, and that is it. And they have handcuffs, and they have the right to arrest you, and and that's literally all they have. And the statistics speak for themselves in terms of the history of police brutality. Of course it exists. Of course it exists.
Yes.
It's just nothing compared to other countries where a police officer is armed. And it's crazy. It really is.
Can you imagine? You taught me something, that we were like number two as far as police brutality here in
Yeah,
Canada. Can you imagine if we as a population in Canada were armed like the United States were?
yeah,
We might be
yeah,
number one.
yeah,
We're lucky that our population isn't armed for the most part,
yeah, 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 yeah. Absolutely.
right?
I mean, there's a lot of like the one thing I'll say is that there is a lot of shit talking about the states all the time, every day now, and some of it is right. Like
Yes,
the
yes.
person that is running the country is a fucking asshole and an idiot. But at the end of the day, there's really nothing that differs from a Canadian to an American other than a border and
Yeah.
education. There's really nothing that separates us. And it's funny because I feel like I'm an honorary Canadian, right? Because I've been here long enough. But I feel like Canadians we Canadians, I'll count myself in. It's almost sort of pride ourselves on not being in the States, of not being an
Yeah.
American. But like, there's really not that much that divides us from them. It's really not.
You're right, and like you said, that statistics that you spoke about earlier is kind of proof of that, right? Like we there's a border that separates us. I do see differences in the fact that, like, obviously, I always see a difference from state to state because I always say like this: the United States is like
Yeah,
50 countries
yeah,
trying to
true.
manage each other. They
That's
don't.
right.
It's like the president just says like, you go ahead and you take care of your own state, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Here in Canada, we tend to say we're Canadian, and even though we live, might live in Alberta, one might live in Quebec, one might live in Nova Scotia. At the end of the day, we all kind of see ourselves as Canadian and a little bit more united, I find, than divisive.
Mm-hmm.
But
Interesting.
yeah, it also helps that we're only 33 or how many millions compared to 10 times more. You know, they have
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
10 times the population, all stuffed in how many major cities, if you really think about it: New York, LA, a few here and there in Florida, Texas, all that stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people crammed into cities where, whew, like we saw with the COVID and how it affected
Mm-hmm.
those cities, and
Yeah.
now with police brutality and with rioting and protesting. It's like
Mm.
it 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 can't be easy. And like you said, I don't want to dismiss that, like we have it so much better and that we're so much better here as Canadians, because the statistic will prove otherwise, maybe. But I guess it's maybe because there's such a magnifying glass right now on the United States with not
Mm-hmm.
just what they've gone through now with the pandemic, but now with this Black Lives Matter, and now with this police brutality. And if you follow any type of sports now with football, with what
Mm.
happened with one of the guys saying this, and then like
Oh, yeah.
there's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so much like, and
Mm.
don't let's not forget that even as Canadians, we consume way more American media than we consume Canadian media at this
Yeah,
point, right?
yeah,
When's the
yeah,
last time you listened to Canadian news? Like,
yeah.
I never. Like,
It's true. It's
I
true.
don't listen to global news. If I listen to
Yeah,
news, it's going to be CNN or Fox, and it's going to be about the
so
United.
true.
Oh, what the fuck's going down south there? They seem to be having some fun down there. But seriously,
It's so true. Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I do just want to add that, like, that there is a huge part of me that is so happy that I did settle in Canada and not in the States.
yeah.
My life would be very different right now. Very, very different. I don't know. I would still be there. I think I'd probably be back in the UK. So,
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a fair
yeah,
assumption, right? I think
yeah,
it is anyway. Like, if you
yeah,
had the option, if you weren't a citizen and you were stuck there, you'd be like, yeah, fuck it, I'm out of here. Like,
yeah.
I'm fucking out of here.
Yeah.
Like
If
I
you were
can
a
only,
dual citizen, if you had citizenship of the States and Canada and you were living in the States, you probably would have moved back to Canada.
I mean, I'm gonna take a break for a while. I'm gonna go back to my
Yeah.
country. But again, I'm sure there's majority of the places in the United States that are nice and peaceful, and they're not feeling any of this racial divide right now, because middle America is filled with a bunch of little towns and cities that are just being happy and being all that. But man, it's so magnified, especially considering who they have as a president, right? And then it makes everything worse. When I think I heard today that on Sunday or Saturday, he tweeted 200 times in one day.
No.
Can
Jesus
you
Christ, did you do it
can
every
you imagine? Can you imagine? You are the leader of
a
one of
country?
the country and one of the biggest nations, powerful nation in the world, and you're on Twitter 90% of your days just
That's
tweeting
insane.
nonsense.
That is crazy. Yeah, I mean, the other night it was really quite scary when Mark was looking at his phone and he was like, shit. And I was like, what? And he said, Trump just threatened martial law.
Yeah.
It's really terrifying, you know. And a huge part of me is thinking that he's not going to be out in November. He's not planning an election. He doesn't think he's going anywhere.
Nope.
Is he going to go anywhere?
I
Maybe
don't think so. I think they'll vote
not.
for
No.
him. I told Christina, I said he's either gonna win in a landslide or lose in a landslide. It's the
Yeah.
only options.
Yeah.
Either people are gonna come out of the woodworks to vote for Biden. And here's the thing though with Biden is that it all depends on who he puts as his VP. Because let's face it,
Yeah.
if he has half a brain cell, I think it's between two black women. He said he was gonna choose a woman from the get-go, but
That's
now he's like,
cool. Okay.
if you were half as smart, you'd be like, I'm gonna pick a black woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I would be like, pick this pick the one you think is gonna be do the best job and just put her in charge and
Yeah.
go and just go back and
Yeah.
go. 4
Yeah.
years, it's all you. And if you did a good
Yeah.
job, you can have the next 4 years as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Biden kind of doesn't have much to do because he's like, I'm just going to let Donald Trump dig himself in a hole. Here's my thought on the whole thing of voting. Like, he, I have a feeling that Trump, he already maximized his votes last time around. It's not like there's going to be 30 to 40 thousand more racist people come out of the woodshed to vote.
Yeah. 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 That's a
They
very good
already
point.
voted for him.
Yeah.
Like now it's up to the young generation, and hopefully there's a lot more of that young generation that are ready to vote now
Yeah.
that are gonna go like, I can't vote, or can I? That's the thing, right? When I see a Trump supporter and I hear a Trump supporter talk, and I'm like, they're convinced and
Mm.
they're sold on the man.
Mm.
And it's like, God damn, is he
It's
gonna win
crazy.
again? Is he
Yeah.
gonna win again?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my mom predicted that he was going to stay. Probably about a year ago, she was saying that. And I was like, no, he won't. And now I don't think he's going to win anything, though. I don't even think there's going to be an election.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so. I think, I think he's provoking the country. Like just the other day, he turned around and said that he's going to, within the next couple of weeks, he's going to make sure that there is a bill that is passed that stops any same-sex couple from adopting a child. Why the fuck, with everything that's going on with the pandemic, with Black Lives Matter, why would he just all of a sudden come out with this random bill that he wants to pass? I feel he's like provoking the country as much as he can to get people to rise up, so he has to call martial law.
It's like he wants to hit that button. He wants to hit that panic button. Come
Because
on.
yeah, he's so crazy. Like who in their right mind would be doing even half the shit that he's doing? You know?
You know, I said this to Christine the other day. I said, you know what's going on, right? Like he's gonna win. He's gonna do his 8 years, and then in
Mm.
4 years, his son is gonna run. His son is
Oh,
gonna win, and then after his son is there for 8 years, his daughter is gonna win, and then it's just gonna
Jesus.
be that thing. That's what from the get go I heard people talking about that. He's like, yeah, he's just trying to. It's gonna be a family event now. It's gonna
Empire.
be a family thing. It's a family
The,
business.
the anti-Kennedys. Like,
Like
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like fuck.
Yeah.
Like even his daughter, like she said something that was completely stupid. She got dropped there by what she was supposed to do a commencement speech at a university or something,
Mhm.
and she tweeted something stupid about her dad, and they dropped her like a bag of potato chips. They're like, "Fuck you! Like I don't want you. You know, I don't want you talking to my kids."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she creeps me out the most. She scares me.
Oh, they're disgusting humans. They
Yeah,
are. They really are. Like, yeah. I don't know how his wife is still sticking around. I really don't.
it's
It's
prisoner.
just, yeah, yeah. Yeah, quite possibly. I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, he came forward and he said, "I just want you all to know I'm not going to be wearing a mask. I refuse to sit at this beautiful teak desk in the Oval Office sat with a mask. I just can't. I just can't. So I won't be wearing a mask. The very next day, Melania Trump tweeted, "Right now is the time to act and look after our fellow citizens. I'll be wearing a mask every day around my stuff in the White House." Like, whoa, that was ballsy. That was so ballsy. Yeah.
I saw something yesterday. I don't know how it's true because I don't know who to trust now when it comes to media, right? Someone will share something and you look at the source,
Yeah.
you're like, well, okay, it might be reliable, it might not be
Yeah.
reliable. But I read that he visited this this factory that made masks,
Oh, yeah.
and because he didn't wear a mask, they had to throw out all the production for that day.
No. I mean, I can believe that. Yeah.
Can you? I don't know if it's true, but can you imagine the gall of the guy going, "I ain't wearing a mask, dude." But like, if you don't wear a mask, we're gonna. I don't give a fuck. I'm the president. I'm not
Yeah.
wearing a mask on camera. You guys are gonna take a photo picture. I ain't taking a mask. I ain't putting a mask. The balls.
Crazy.
How can you tell
Yeah.
your population that you're in charge of that you care about them when you do shit like
Well,
this?
he's gotten worse as well. Like, yeah, okay, he was always a terrible, disgusting human being. But over the last 4 years, he's definitely gotten worse.
He's
You never.
74 years old. He's
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember when my grandfather was 74 years old. Okay, I know it's a bad example because my grandfather didn't have the life that guys like men like Trump and the 1% had. But
Mm-hmm.
do you understand how detached he is from a society compared to someone that's 25 or 30?
Yeah.
How
Or even 45. Even
you
45. Yeah.
cannot see the world the same
No.
way. And
No.
like what we pay attention to, he doesn't pay attention to that shit.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
like if my grandfather was still alive today, he wouldn't know half of what's going on with the pandemic. He'd be
Yeah.
like, I was just told to stay home. I
Yeah.
feel sometimes that that's what it is with him.
Yeah.
I can't be bothered with that shit, man.
Yeah.
I have 18 medication I have to take so I don't die tomorrow. And
But that's no fucking excuse, because look at the age of Bernie Sanders. How
I
old is
know,
he?
same thing.
Yeah, he's about 76, 77, I think, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he's so current. Like he's so good at knowing what's going on.
But
Yeah.
he used to march
Yeah.
the street when in
He's
the
an activist.
60s and 70s. He was an
Yeah.
activist.
Yeah.
He was surrounded by other culture and
Yeah.
other groups of people, and
Yeah.
he learned to listen to the people.
Yeah.
Donald Trump has never listened to anybody in his life. He's always done whatever he wanted to do, and it's not going to change just because he's fucking
Yeah.
president.
Yeah.
He's going to exaggerate this power now.
Mm.
It's like, eh.
It's going to be so interesting to see what happens in November.
Yeah, it is going to be
Mm.
interesting. Like I said, like everybody's going to be waiting. Like, what's going to
Yeah.
happen? What do we deserve? And
Yeah.
this and that. And look, at the end of the day, it's democracy, right?
Yeah.
People need to go out and vote. And at
Yeah.
the end of the day, if he gets elected again, well, you can't blame. That's what you live. You guys live in a democracy where someone voted for him. Enough people voted
Yeah.
for him that he still has 4 years to go. I guarantee you that if he gets reelected the next 4 years, because he has nothing to lose now.
Yeah, that's it.
He's like, I don't care what I do in the next 4 years. I can't be elected again. I'm free to
Yeah.
do whatever
Yeah.
the fuck I want.
Yeah.
He's gonna double down on everything. Boom, boom, boom. It's
Yeah.
gonna be
He's gonna destroy the planet. He's gonna cause a war. If he's in for another 4 years, he's gonna cause a war. Absolutely. Like a very, very serious war where the entire world will be at risk. Yeah.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at this point, right? It's like it's a shame,
Yeah.
but I know we have to try to navigate our own lives in between all this chaos, and
Okay.
it's hard. It's hard to disconnect from the thing. Then hence why I go back to me leaving social media. It's like you try to disconnect and try not to pay attention. And I'm just curious to know, like after a week of not constantly being like having it in my face,
What
that
it's
news
gonna be.
cycle and what's going on. Like,
Yeah.
where is my attention going to shift to?
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to start thinking about? Am I just going to be more productive into the things that I'm already doing, which is
yeah.
hopefully what I'm going to do, right?
Yeah.
That's the plan anyway. As long as I don't get distracted by something else shiny,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm good to go. So unless they come out with something extremely shiny in the next week, I think I'm safe.
Have you
But
started your business plan?
no, but I do have a lot. I do plan on spending a lot of time in front of the computer this week to type it in
Yeah.
and just put stuff on paper.
Yeah.
I basically have everything in my head, like as far as like what I need and
Okay.
about like money wise, just to get it started.
Yeah.
And it's a lot less, I think, than I originally predicted, especially for
Yeah.
like the first part of the plan.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, like if I can just surround myself and build my business plan around that for step one, so
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I have something to present
Mm-hmm.
to someone, and then grow, and then be able to build from that. And look, I've heard of people just sitting down with people and going, "Hey, I have this idea," and then someone goes, "That's a great idea. How much money you need?" And then,
Yeah.
what the
Oh
fuck,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. My old boss.
some people don't even need business plans, right? It's like
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, that's a great idea. That's a fucking
Yeah.
fantastic idea." Hopefully, if I'm able to put it on paper, it'll just help my, because I honestly, I truly believe I have a really raw, steady plan that I think anybody in that business, it can go like, yeah, that's a really good idea. Like, how has that
Mm.
not been done before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Exactly.
right. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, let's see what you got. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
all I need is someone to give me a chance, and then I can get
Yeah.
it rolling, right? So I
No, I
just
mean, my old boss, that happened to her. She was interviewing this guy because she was working for like a local newspaper. She interviewed this guy, and she was talking about like how he started his business and how he developed his dream. And then just on a whim, he said to her, well, "What's your dream? Is this your dream to interview people?" She said, "Oh, no, 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 no. I would like to open a yoga school one day, but God knows when that will happen." She was young. She was like 23, 24. And he was like, "Well, how much money do you need?" And she was like, "Well, you can't be serious." He's like, "No, no, no. How much money do you need?" And then they were just meeting like every few weeks. And 10 years later, she has her own yoga school. It's doing really well.
yeah.
Yes, it's amazing.
I think one of my problems that I think it has to do also with procrastinating, but it's also the fear of like putting something on paper or putting something concrete, a plan and build a plan, and then once I have that, like I have to let show people.
Yeah.
I have to put myself out there on the line, in with the chance of someone going, "Nah, that's garbage," and I have to be able to accept that that that
Yeah.
someone telling me that, and being able, okay, well, what do I need to do? And then going, well,
Yeah.
this is not good. You should do it like this, and this, and then speak to people that actually know what they're doing. Like a lot of the times, I try to go about everything on my own, and that's why I'm not doing that this time around, because I think I've learned a little bit of my lessons, that it just hasn't worked before, and I get discouraged, and I get to the point where I just give up. And I
Yeah.
just like, I don't move forward, and I put everything back on the back burner. I'll get back to it in 6 months. I'll get back to it when
Mm.
I less time. The time is now. I have a good
It's so
idea,
important.
and I
Yeah.
think that if I'm able to write it, put it on paper, and be able to show it, and just be given a chance, that I can make it work. I think I
Yeah.
have everything it takes,
Yeah.
so
No, it's so important to talk about it as well. Just to talk
yeah.
about it, even just see how people react. Like yeah, it really, really is important. As soon as you really get the idea solidified, just start talking about it.
Yeah.
Just start talking about the idea with people, and you'll see how people respond and questions they might have, and then that might allow you to realize, like, "Oh, I never thought of it from that perspective."
That's a good
And
idea. I never thought about that. Like putting it out in the open so that people can
yeah,
sometimes give you, because sometimes people will tell you 10 things, but then it's all bullshit. But except for one of that little things they said, they're like,
yeah,
that's interesting. Like,
exactly.
last night, like I spent 30 minutes. Just I sat down right before bed and I thought, okay, like that's when I sent you the pictures. Did you see the pictures I sent you?
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck? Who copied your idea?
Yeah. And then I was like, okay. And then I spent 30 minutes just going like, how would I build it? And then how I would go. And then in my head, I'm like, oh, this would be a good idea. Oh my God, I
Yeah.
could add this here, this, bang, 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 bang. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I'm pretty sure that if I told somebody just this little aspect of
Yeah.
my idea, people would be like, oh my God, that's such a good idea. How come no one ever with everything? Like, so I'm like, I'm excited about the project. And I'm like, I'm looking forward to being able to, like, I don't want to speak to people right now about it because I
No,
want to
no,
start
no,
putting
no.
it on paper.
Not
But
yet.
it's,
Yeah.
it
You
like,
literally want it so that it's like the idea is literally ready to go.
yeah,
Like, and you can explain it in a matter of words. It's super easy for you to explain. People understand it. And then you'll feel so comfortable in what you're selling because you're selling an idea as well, even if it's not even in the production, you're still selling people the idea of it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's exciting though.
very exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Yeah, I'm gonna see you on Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
book,
Yeah. Yeah.
I booked an appointment,
Yeah,
so
you did.
I'm
I'll
gonna.
be causing you pain.
Yay! I feel great now, but I'm like, oh, I'm gonna put my body. I'm gonna work out hard this week, so at least you'll have something to work with.
Oh, there'll be work. You could do nothing. You could just sit on the sofa for a week and there would be work stuff.
I can't wait. Thanks again for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. It
I,
was
I
good to chat. It's always good to chat with you.
I felt like I spoke to one of my friends, Terry. He's been on the podcast like fucking 5 or 6 times. He has his own podcast. He has a sports podcast. So every time there's like stuff in the sports world that's big, I always invite him on, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I took like a week off of podcasting, of not thinking about it, not doing anything. Is
Yeah,
with everything that's going on. I just like I was consumed by it, and it was just like I wasn't in the right place. I didn't feel like talking to anybody. I just wanted to like sit back and just focus on what the fuck was going on, just so I
yeah,
could
yeah.
calm my nerves a little bit, I guess. But I just felt like I needed a break. I had been going hard during this pandemic, like almost 2 podcasts every week. So it's like I need a little break sometimes. And so I called him. I said, "Hey, listen, every time I need like an episode, like he's always available." So I'm like, I didn't have anybody set up. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna call them, and we ended up talking for like an hour and a half. But it was Saturday night, and I felt like we ended up talking about Black Lives Matter for the most part, right? Because we were
Yeah,
trying to put. It was the first time that I was talking about it on the
okay,
podcast and
yeah.
as content. I'm releasing it tomorrow.
Okay, good.
But man, we fumbled through that shit, man. I felt like I couldn't get my point across. I felt like, like, and I always equate it to being hit in the head too much because sometimes, like, I have all these ideas and all these thoughts in my head, but they come
Yeah,
out
yeah.
all crooked, and I don't know what the fuck I said on that part.
Well, I think something that's really good about this movement is that now it's totally okay as a white person with white privilege to stumble through this shit and get things wrong and apologize and learn. And whereas before, like maybe it's very you feel very vulnerable and very exposed as a white person to ask these questions and to have these conversations. um like I imagine I identify as queer. Like I've had relationships with women in the past, and so for me, like talking about sexuality and gay politics, like it's something that I find so comfortable and so easy. But definitely, like racial matters is something that, as a white person, like yeah, I've always felt like I have to be very careful with the way that I approach this, and I don't want to fuck up, and I don't want to stumble on my words. So I think that has been a really great thing. I think it's been a really good sort of like parting of the seas so that we can walk through and be like, okay, so how do we actually talk about this? How do we deal with this?
Yeah,
Because we have these very important opinions that must be heard.
I think that's an important point you just made. That we have to be
Yeah.
willing to tippy toe through these landmines, and once in a while step on one and go, "Whoops, sorry, I did. That's not what I meant. That's like my intentions were not okay." Or it's like, "Oh shit, I didn't see it that way. I
Mhm.
apologize. Like it's I think it's important, and like I said, even though that we did fumble through the conversation at the end, hopefully my sentiment were portrayed that look, I'm not even I'm not racist. It's not, it's just, it's not something that it's like I feel like they need an ally right now,
Mhm.
because they can't go at this alone. And it's like I've been trying to figure out what I can do more than just share my intentions on social media. Like,
Yeah,
what else can I do? Like, I spoken to my wife. Like, I'm thinking about doing this. Do you think that would be a good idea? And she's like, well, I think it's a good idea. But then
yeah,
I'm like, well, I need to run it by a black person to make
yeah,
sure that,
yeah,
like, ever since this is going on, and this will be the last thing I say, like, I'm like, should I reach out to a few of my black friends to see if they want to come on the podcast to talk about it? Or is that going to make me seem like, are you just trying to virtue signal on what team you on? And I think that
Mhm.
that's one of the things that that social media did to me. It's like I always felt at a certain point this week that I was walking on eggshells. It's like if I show that I'm behind this movement, or if I fucking go on and just be a blatant racist, doesn't matter, because people are gonna shit on me either way. You
Mhm.
know, it doesn't matter what point of view I share. If I share the right or I share the left point of view, people on the
Yeah,
right are gonna shit at me, and people on the left are gonna shit at me. So who the
yeah,
fuck? Like, I'm just gonna say it how I feel, and if it comes out all crooked, well, it's because fuck, I'm not used to this, because
yeah,
in
yeah,
my head for so many years, I've been able to have a conversation with Mustafa, who's black, and I
yeah,
don't see
yeah,
this racial divide. He's my brother. We've
yeah,
been we've been
yeah.
wrestling for 4 years together. We've been in cars, talk shit. Like we share so many things in common that I don't see that thing. And I'm not. I don't mean that I don't see his skin color. I
No,
just
yeah, yeah,
don't.
yeah. You're not talking about color blindness. No, no,
Yeah,
no,
it's just
no,
like
no.
you get to a point where I've surrounded myself with this culture for with other cultures. I mean, that is just, it's a person for me, and I'm just sharing a conversation or something in life at the moment, a moment with this person, and that's it. That's all. So like
Mhm.
for a week there, I was like, oh my god, like I don't want to sound, but now I'm like, fuck it. Now that, and now it's like, now that I'm not on social media, I can even more just be like, I'm just gonna post my shit on through my podcast
Yeah,
and have people listen to it if they choose, if not choose, and people that
yeah,
share my point of view
yeah,
can
yeah,
let me know. And the
yeah,
people that don't share my point of view, well, guess what? I won't see or hear about it because I'm not on social media. So you can go ahead and
yeah,
say what the
yeah,
fuck you
yeah.
want. And and
Don't
and I'm
forget as well, like you've got your kids, right? You know
yeah,
how like at the beginning of the virus when it was like you must isolate because if you go out and you talk to one person, then that one person talks to another two people. Those two people are then going to infect another like two, three people, and so it just goes on and on and on. The same thing can be said for like when you're educating a person. You're educating your two kids right now.
yeah,
So by you saying like, I wish I could do more, like you're already doing so much because you're educating your children about this, about these issues, who will then maybe go on to educate their friends, their partners, their children. Do you know what I mean? So you're actually doing a huge job, like even bigger than someone that maybe goes and writes an article, you know, or does some other like crazy, you know, thing, epic thing. Like you're actually
yeah.
passing on through generation and generation and generation these values, these morals, these issues that must be discussed. You know, so you're doing a lot just by being a dad at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's true, and it goes for like as a parent. Sometimes you kind of forget that you're actually a parent because it's you do it every day, all day, every day. It's
Yeah,
not like something you constantly think about that you are. You
yeah,
are what you are. And
of
I
course,
happen to be a father, and my wife's happened to be a mom, and we have two kids, and
of course.
it's like you're absolutely right. Like at the end of the day, our main purpose is to try to educate our kids and
Yeah,
have the morals of somebody that is not going to go out in society and do those things that
yeah,
certain peoples do, and like oppress other people or do this and do that and be a racist and stuff. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
You're absolutely right. I always enjoy talking to you. You know that. It felt
Yes,
it
yes, of
felt like
course.
I felt like I needed to have a conversation with you because I always know that I could better explain and express myself when I talk to
Yeah,
you and
yeah.
other
It's
people.
important just to talk like that because you're able to develop. Sometimes it's so like having opinions and ideas about things that you're very passionate about can be really confusing sometimes to like get the words out, and be able to like really express yourself very well. Being
Yeah,
able to express myself, I feel it's something that I'm getting better at as I'm getting older, but like it took me so many years just to learn how to properly express myself, and it's still something I find difficult. I think a lot of us do.
yeah,
But when you
and
can sit and chat like this, it helps you.
I think the more conversation we have like this on podcast, but even just more conversations one on one with other people than your little bubble,
Yeah,
makes you better at having conversations.
yeah,
It makes you better at relaying what's in this fucking
yeah,
head right now so you can
yeah,
understand it.
yeah,
So, because sometimes I want to put my point across and I feel like my point is right, but I'm not able to verbalize it the proper way. So the other person is like, oh, I kind of get what you mean, but maybe if you said it better, I'd barely understand.
yeah,
Well, the only way you can get better at explaining yourself is by having more of these conversations.
yeah.
And I feel that with social media now and that we're always have our nose in our fucking phones, that we're having less and less of those conversations and that generations are getting worse and worse at having these types of conversation. And then we just end up yelling at each other.
Well, I mean, you know what? One of my friends commented on that link where it exposes you if you're a Trump supporter. One of
Yeah.
my friends commented on it, and at first I was really like, "Well, fuck you, guy," and then
Yeah.
afterwards I was like, "Actually, you know what? He has a point." He commented saying, "Really? Do you want to get rid of everyone that's a Trump supporter who's a Facebook friend of yours? You should know your enemy." In a matter of words, that's how he said it. And I was like, you know what? That's actually a really good point because I don't know really how I feel about something until I'm faced with the bullshit that I know I do not agree with.
Yes.
And then I'm able to even further explain how I feel about something.
Yes, of course. I was the same way before. When I was younger, I would react instantly to something
Yeah,
without even thinking if it had an inkling of truth. Like
yeah,
even if the statement someone makes is not 100% true, there might be something there to think about. And if you dismiss that person instantly because you're like, fuck you, you don't get to think. Like, I think people need to learn, especially nowadays in the age of social media. And this is something I've seen a lot of the people on the right share is like, you motherfuckers need to learn how to think for yourselves. Don't let the media and anybody else think for you. Make
yeah,
your own fucking
yeah.
point of view, make your own assumption, but do your research.
Yes,
And the
yeah.
problem is that a lot of people have point of views, but they don't do research. It's just
Mm,
whatever they think that's in their head is I'm just gonna fucking spew my bullshit, and then they don't think sometimes that there's someone that looks up to them, go like, fuck, I didn't think about that, but yeah, he has a fucking point, and I like that guy, so he must be right.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
why I'm super careful on what I share sometimes because
yeah.
I know I'm not a superstar, but I know there's people that look up to
Mm,
my social media and
yeah,
yeah, I've been told by people like, look, I really like your this and that, and I look up to you in this. I really like your podcast and stuff. So I can't be all like fucking loosey goosey about fucking point of views that I share. Like I'm gonna share what I believe sometimes, and
yeah,
sometimes I'm really bad at relaying the message. But at the end of the day, it's kind of hard to not know what's in my heart
yeah.
if you know who I am or if you've been
Mhm.
following me even just on social media. You kind of know that yeah, he's kind of a good dude, and
Yeah,
it's like hopefully I am, but it's like you know where I come from. There you don't need to go through pages of stuff and like I don't know. No, that guy, he's give or take a few paces left or right, he's this, and
yeah,
that's it. And then I'm like, but again, we need to have more of these
yeah,
one-on-one, three-on-three
yeah,
conversations about certain things, so that even if I don't agree with you, I can listen to your point of view, so that the more I listen to someone else's point of view that I don't necessarily agree with, and I might not agree with any of your point of view, but that doesn't mean I have to cancel you. Because like I was telling my sister-in-law yesterday, I said, what people don't seem to realize is that in society that we live in, as much as people on the extreme left want to hate on the extreme right, and that the extreme right want to hate on the people on the extreme left, we are all needed in society to function. We need the people that think like these people here, and we need those compassionate, over nurturing, we all need these things. We all need in society. The thing that we're not doing right now is that we're not accepting of who we are as not just as a society, but as person. It's okay for you to not agree with most of what I say, but that doesn't mean I can't function. I don't have a functionality in society as who I am, and that you don't have a functionality in society as who you are, and that I need to understand that. I think people stop the moment they see that someone doesn't agree. The moment they notice that someone is not on their team, they go, fuck you, you're not on my team. I said it to my sister-in-law yesterday. I said, see, I can't find my words.
You know what I think that might be? I think it's because we're kind of getting there. We're kind of getting to this like gray area now of where before, like the person that had the golden word was a straight white man. Okay. And now women's opinions are becoming really, really important. And now people of color's opinions are becoming very, very important. And the straight white man is starting to question, why is it that when I speak, people listen? Actually, maybe I should be questioned, you know? So people are starting to, the people that were like trampled upon are now realizing, you know what, my opinion is valid and needs to be heard. And the people that just presumed that like my opinion is valid and will always be heard they're now realizing, you know what, I think I need to be challenged. And so I think that's why we're starting to, I don't know, we're starting to like attack each other a lot more. Do you know what I mean? Like you post something on Facebook and someone just like attacks you if they don't agree with you. And it's this uncomfortable place that I think it's inevitable. We have to move through that uncomfortable place to get to a better place.
Yeah, we have to stay in that uncomfortable place and mash all our differences, and then be able to come out on the other side as better, just as a better society together. You know, what I wrote it down. I write a lot of notes. I said, how insecure are you about your team that the minute someone else starts cheering for the other team, that you have to scream, all team matters. Don't forget, all team matters. Wait a minute. Don't that all team matters. Is just that right now, the people on Team Black, they don't think that they're they're included in that all. Your Team White is included in that all. But there's a portion of the population that don't think they're included in all lives matter. And this all goes back to the people that use all lives matter instead of Black lives matter. That to me is one of the, like, if you don't get it by now, like you choose to be ignorant. If you can't understand why it's Black lives matter right now, like it's like, and I feel like a lot of people, they use that all lives matter because they're too much of a coward to say what they really feel. And that's white lives matter. That's what I really feel like saying, white lives matter, but they won't say that because they know people are going to go, all right. Pump the brakes there, man.
Absolutely. I saw a really good little cartoon. It was this guy who had been in an accident and his legs, his legs had been cut off and they were bleeding. And there's another guy beside him and another guy standing next to them. And the guy beside the guy on the floor with no legs, he's like, Jesus, get an ambulance. And the guy that's standing there is like, what about my legs? And he's like perfectly fine standing, you know? It's like, Jesus. It's such a good analogy though, you know?
It's exactly what it is. It's like the burning house that I shared. right?
Oh yeah,
Right?
that's
It's like,
exactly it. Yeah,
what about my house? Was your house on fire?
yeah,
No. Well,
exactly it.
then there's people dying over here in this house. Like, we need to go help them
Yeah.
out for a little bit. Do you
Your
mind?
house is on fire too? Absolutely, we're gonna put it out. Absolutely.
Do you
Right
want
now, you're good, guy. You're good.
put it on fire and then I'll be back. All right,
Yeah,
just throw a match in it, let it catch fire. I'm gonna go take care of this fire first, then we'll
yeah,
be back and
yeah.
we'll take care of your house after. All right? How about we do
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say something else, but otherwise we'll just keep talking all night.
Yeah, we'll keep it for another episode.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
appre-
so
I appreciate you taking the times every time you come on and talk to me. And I could, like I said, we can go on all night. We can have conversations all night.
uh,
I can't wait for the day that you and Mark are able to come
yeah.
back home and we can have dinner and we
We
can
can even just
chill.
hang out in a garden. We can
Yes,
hang
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
When it's nice there soon, I'm gonna go buy like a little barbecue and we can go to the park near my house and just chill
Yeah.
out on a
That's
Saturday night.
amazing. Yeah,
Just
we should do
just
that.
just chill out and be able to relax with the kids and
Yeah, that'd
have
be
some
lovely.
fun. Yeah.
Restaurants are opening, apparently. Did you hear
Uh-huh.
that? Restaurants are opening
Yep.
June 22nd. It's going to be with social distanced, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. There's gonna be. It's not at maximum capacity, so it's.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm excited to start seeing the world going back to normal little by little, so that we can all go back to our lives and try to manage our, you know, all our anxieties that we've been living through all these
yeah,
last few months.
yeah.
So, all
All
right.
right, man. Well,
So
we'll talk soon about your business as well.
yes, we'll set up another meeting for that, and we'll chit chat. But I'm gonna put a lot of work in this week, and hopefully put something
Okay.
on paper and write some stuff down, and when we can go through it maybe next week or something.
Yep, for sure, love.
Alrighty,
Okay.
I'll talk to you
Well, I'll
soon.
see you on Sunday.
Oh yes, that's for sure. I can't wait.
Get your screams ready.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll be ready. I'll be ready. I'm gonna scream in a pillow for an hour before just to get ready.
Okay, love. Have a good night.
All right, you too. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye, love. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Well, that's it for episode 44. I really hope you enjoyed my conversation with my great friend Jade Salter. If you haven't done so, please don't forget to subscribe to This Savage Life, available wherever you download your podcast. I also upload all my episodes on my YouTube channel, Savage Paulson. So go ahead, check it out, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification button so you don't miss anything. Like I say at the end of every episode, I appreciate the fuck out of everybody that took the time to download, subscribe, share, listen to the podcast. I appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, we're going through some crazy times, and I just enjoy having some conversation with some great friends, some great people, and just, talk through some shit, and I'm still kind of new at this podcast thing, and I'm learning and just trying to get better at every opportunity that I get. And hopefully you guys enjoy it and you enjoy the content that I'm putting out there. Until next time, guys, stay safe and much love.